Hi, Leslie Rogowski here, Creative Director for the Beadsmith. And behind the camera we have
Leslie Pope.
We're
Hi.
Team Leslie here with another Facebook Live. And as promised, I want to talk to you about the very new Fixer beads. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
So I want you to look over here. The Fixers have two different versions. You have vertical holes, which go through, you can see with the diagram, there's 4 holes, and they go through from what I would call front to back. And then horizontal holes, where they have channels that go through along the side. And the Fixers are cool in that, for a lot of reasons, but they have a slight curve to them. So they're meant to curve around a rivoli. That's what they were invented for.
And they have that inside curve.
And they
too.
have a little channel in there. Let's see. So you can see that there's a little channel on the inside that the groove of the rivoli sits in. So they really capture these nicely. Now, on these, I want you to notice the size of these two rivolis. These are, I think, 12 millimeter and 10 millimeter, and you can see that with 4 fixers around it, you really don't see much of a rivoli. So when someone asks me what's the best size of a rivoli for the fixers, I would say start with 12 millimeters and up, because then you get a little more exposure of the beautiful stone that you're going to build this structure around. So come on, first there's lots of colors.
Lots of pretty colors.
14 colors. You have Jet AB and Chalk Travertine and some beautiful Rembrandt kind of marbly looking things. You've got your shiny and your matte and of course Crystal Velvet Rainbow, which has all those wonderful iridescent colors.
And I love using those.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're cool.
Alrighty, so we're going to move over to the work surface.
Here, and I want to show you some of the finished things. If you were in Tucson this year, you saw these on display. So starting with a very basic way to structure, I took I guess this is a 25 millimeter rivoli, and I just played around with seed beads and the fixers in order to just make this space out around the rivoli. So you can see that I have 6 fixers. These are what they call vertical holes. They come through this way. And right away, I'm sure all of you right away can see how this component, the fixer beads, are very architectural. And they lend a solidity to the piece of work that you're doing. So you can keep it as minimal as you want, or you can build up into some really extraordinary looking things easily or more easily and more quickly capturing the rivoli than if you were doing the traditional bezel, right?
Yes.
So which is usually done with peyote, red angle weave, combinations of things, and it gets very beady. And of course, they're very beautiful. I know you guys are total fans, right? So here's the fixer with a very basic start. Now this piece here is just a variation of what I did here, only after I was finished attaching the fixers around the rivoli, I strung through it again to bring in some of the tutus. I also played with the beads that are on the outside that go in and out by playing with color and delicates. You can see on the back here I just left it plain. And then I figured out a way to string them by stringing through those 2 sets of beads on the outside.
Ingenious.
So these are the vertical holes. So they go in this way. Now the horizontal holes are really interesting too. These are designed so the thread paths go through a channel through the sides. So it actually made it quite easy to create this architectural bezel, so to speak, by just figuring out how many beads I needed in between the fixers and sewing through And then you can tie off your thread and start a new thread if you don't want thread showing, so you don't have to step up. And I sewed it a little tighter around the back, and these are completely in there. So you can see a smaller stone with 4, and then the larger oval with 6. And I created a little bezel just by sewing them together. Or not a bezel, a bail, sorry. I think I'm going to have to make a ring out of these. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely
Right?
calling your name.
Right. Okay, now I want to show you something else too. Let's see. So I was playing around, and I needed to determine how many around I wanted to do. Here's another one. So I'm going to show you a tip for how do you determine the circumference of a circle. All right, I know you guys are thinking, all right, pi.
Math,
right,
algebra,
math, right?
yes.
Okay, so here's my tip. All right, I took a piece of paper. This is just a part of a Post-it. And I took my Rivoli, and I made just a strip because it's easier to handle. And I held it carefully around the outside of the Rivoli. And then I noted where it came together, and I trimmed it. And then you just hold it up to a ruler, which so conveniently on our treasure map, right? So you can see I have about 16 and a half centimeters there, or about 2.5 inches. So that's my tip, the easy way to measure around. You take a piece of paper, you wrap it around, bring the edges together, and you're going to mark or cut it so you know where that goes, and make sure that stays in there straight. All right, that's but I don't want to use math.
Yeah,
okay,
that's a nice tip.
So this, I just kept sewing different numbers of beads on the inside and outside to see how it would fit around. And I ended up with 3 size 11s in between each of the 7 fixers for this 20 millimeter Rivoli. Looks the same on the front and the back. This is foiled, the Rivoli on the back. Okay. Now, in this one, I wanted something more minimal and simple, and I only used 4 of the fixers, and these are the horizontal fixers. So you can see that the threads are coming out from inside the channels instead of from the outside, so I have nice clean surfaces on the outside. And I did the same thing top and bottom, just alternated my colors of the gold seed beads and the black seed beads. And it created this really interesting, just simple, classic kind of a bezel. And of course now I can build off in any way that I want. So we have those. Do you need to have a Rivoli to use fixels? No. I was inspired by the work of Randashri Santhanam from Shri Designs, that's S-H-R-I-E, who made a component that had a center that was beaded, and she brought the fixers off of this. Isn't this cool and beautiful and different? It absolutely is, Wanda, thanks. So I took pinch beads, and I did a band inside of right angle weave, and then following, I kind of deconstructed from one of Randashri's pieces and added my own twist on it. You can see where the fixers are. You can see those little bars they look like. They're the fixers. I don't know if you can see them.
The vertical holes, right?
These are called the vertical holes.
Yeah.
There's 4 of them. So they look like this.
Yeah, okay.
All right? And they're just stitched in and around with seed beads in 2 millimeters. 3 millimeter fire polished, the pinch beads, paisley duos that are joined together.
You could have probably made that reversible if you wanted to, right?
Sure, because there's 2 rows.
Yeah.
So one of the cool things as we're just starting to play with this, one of the cool things is how much this can empower you to do some really structural stuff. They're beautiful in their own right. You have this full range of colors. You can certainly try them with other kinds of cabs, but keep in mind that because of the groove inside of these are meant really to be with RIVOLIS and something that has an edge to it that's going to fit into that channel.
Hi, now I want
Isabella, boy, you had your radar on because...
Hi, Maria, because this was the next thing we were going to talk about.
Isabella Lamb is one of our valued Inspiration Squad members, and she has been really having fun with the fixers, and she's created this really cool guide where she's specifying a size and shape of a certain Swarovski stone and how many fixtures she's using for around these different shaped beads. And Isabella, this is really spectacular.
And very helpful.
Very helpful, inspiring. So you can see here where she's working with a fancy oval, where she has the vertical holes. It has the 4 thread paths coming out, and she's worked in other seed beads around it. And as I go through some of Isabella's pages, look, she's got paisleys. Can you see where she has layers and layers and layers? And this is one of the most wonderful ways I've seen yet. Again, these are very new. Look at this.
Yeah.
Isabella, thank you so much for sharing this with us. And Randashri, if you are paying attention, I want to say thank you too for the inspiration to create this. So there you go, you guys. These are fixer beads, exclusive from the Beadsmith. You can find these quality beads and other tools and supplies from your favorite bead reseller. Because we love beads.
Bye.